Do you think we grow up feeling that there's no middle way? Either you're a outcast or you have to be perfect?
Yeah, sure. That's how I felt.
How do we give that message to kids? Why?
I think, first of all, the grading system, right? The way we grade kids with homework and the way we grade them in education. But also, I think it's the verbal and nonverbal messaging that they receive about themselves. If you behave a certain way, you're a good kid. If you behave a certain way, you're a bad kid, right? Like every kid, every adult that you speak to today, if you ask them about their childhood years and their years in education, can tell you, oh, I was the class clown. I was the teacher's pet. I was the rebel. I was the one who was always getting sent to the principal's office or getting kicked out of yeshiva. Like they all have a story about who they were. We kind of lose the sense of wholeness and humanity of like people could be both and. You could be a good kid and you can also make mistakes.
It's not code. It's the reality of every single person.
You are. Right?
Moshe Rabbeinu didn't go into Israel because he did something he wasn't supposed to.
Right.
Are we expected to be holier than him?
Apparently, yes. Perfectionism is a big issue that comes up often with people that I work with, and this is true of teenagers and adults, that if it's not, perfect, then it's garbage. It's like, well, perfect is impossible. You're not a malach. If Hashem wanted a world full of angels, he would have created angels. He didn't want angels. He wanted imperfect human beings who strive towards something better. He didn't want us to be flat, even, perfect.
How can we deliver that message to our kids and still show them how important it is to try to do everything the best they can?
I think part of it is through compassion, right? Like my daughter, for example, something that I notice her saying a lot when she makes a mistake is, it's all my fault. It's all my fault, mommy. I made a terrible mistake. It's all my fault.
So that's great, because my kids always say it's somebody else's fault.
But she is internalizing shame, right? I notice that she's internalizing shame when she makes a mistake. So I get down on eye level, I maybe give her a hug, and I tell her, I'm like, Hadar, you made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, even mommy. I'll give you an example, okay? Just now, Erev Shabbos, 2 days ago, we were baking a cake and I read the instructions wrong. Okay, it's like a Duncan Hines cake out of a box. It's really not that hard to get this thing right. And I made a mistake and I really messed it up. So we had to go to the store to buy another box of cake mix. And we were in the car. I said, Hadar, did you notice that mommy made a mistake? She goes, yeah. I said, do you remember that I told you that everyone makes mistakes, even mommy and Abba? And she goes, yeah. I said, okay, so did you see that happened? Yeah. Okay, so what are we doing about it now? She said, we're buying another box. I said, we're buying another box. I recognize that I made a mistake. I don't beat myself up for making a mistake. I don't say, oh my God, I'm so stupid. What's wrong with me? I'm such an idiot. Why did I read the box wrong? I go, oops, I read the box wrong. That was a mistake. Let's fix it. Or like, let's acknowledge that it happened and let's fix it. Obviously, in life, things are not so simple to be able to say, like, you do A, B, C, D, and then everything's good. Life is more nuanced and people are complicated. But I think the messaging, the language we use and the behavior that we engage with our kids will teach them by example that they can make mistakes, that they can mess up, that they can do bad things, and they can still strive to be better. Are you familiar, Ellie, with Fred Rogers, with Mr. Rogers?
Nope.
Okay. So Fred Rogers.
I have a lot of homework to do after this episode.
So I'll like give you a whole list, okay? Because Fred Rogers was an educator who in 1975, I think, or 76, started on public broadcasting on PBS. It was like a public broadcasting channel, a children's show called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and it ran for about 40 years. Okay, and he was bringing emotional regulation and emotional connectivity and compassion and empathy into people's homes as a children's show every single day for close to 40 years. He has a song called Sometimes People Are Good. Okay? Sometimes people are good and they do just what they should. But the very same people who are good sometimes are the very same people who are bad sometimes. That's a message that we can be giving our kids, not through punishment and making them feel bad about themselves, but recognizing people can be both and. So actually in the parenting course, the two main sources that I use throughout the class are the works of Dr. Siegel, the works of Dr. Tina Bryson, and the work of Fred Rogers. And people laugh at me because they're like, Fred Rogers, he was like the kids show? And I'm like, yeah, listen to his music. Like, spend 5 minutes as any adult who experienced emotional neglect in childhood would benefit greatly from listening to his music on repeat. And I'm not kidding. Because it is healing. It is my parents were here a few weeks ago and we listened to Mr. Rogers in our house religiously. Like, it's like, you know, the My First Sitter album and Fred Rogers. That's what we listened to in my house. And my mom was like, listening to it, she goes, wow, this is like therapy. And I'm like, I know, it's amazing. You know, he has another song, good people sometimes do bad things, right? Good people think bad things. Good people want bad things. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's who they are. We come with both and, right? If you break it down to Hasidus, we have a nefesh Bahamas and a nefesh Elokis, and they both exist inside of us. And there's a war inside of us between both of them. Hashem did not bring us into this world to be Beinanim. We strive to be Beinanim.
Oh.
We weren't born Beinanim. If that was that's not the point.